Hello and welcome to the Self-Publishing 30 Days podcast. I'm your host, Rob YB Youngblood, President of Sales for Self-Publishing 30 Days. And I have the pleasure of having Greg Brinkley here with me on the podcast. Greg is a part of our family. He's gone through our process. And so we're going to talk to him a little bit about his experience as an author, but also just some other insights that he may want to share as a result of his experience. Greg, how you doing, sir?
Good, my brother. How you feeling?
I am tremendously blessed by the best. So grateful to have you as a guest on the podcast. We were talking a little bit earlier before we got started. You're actually a part of our family. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, I am an executive coach. I'm a speaker, leadership trainer, and elite influencer. I am the CEO of Brinkley Enterprises. I serve Black government professionals and helping them experience phenomenal success in their careers.
That is awesome. So how did you get started in your career field?
Good question. It is a journey of 27 years. I worked in government, and I started with the state of California. I started in the mailroom, not handling the mail. That's how far under the totem pole I was. So through all those years, I progressed, became support staff. I became an analyst, disability analyst. I moved on to disability fraud, then transitioned over to the federal government, where I became a mentor. I was a team leader. I became a team leader over one of the fraud prevention units in Social Security. There's only 3 in the entire nation, so it was a very high-profile job. If I could tell you some things about it, I couldn't, because I'd probably get killed, and you would too.
Oh yeah, don't get me killed, man. I'm married with 2 kids. I love my life, man. Don't tell me nothing. I don't want to know anything about that type of work, man. But needless to say, it was classified type.
Yes, okay, absolutely. So in 2018, my family and I moved to the Austin, Texas area. I was from the Bay Area, California, Oakland born, Oakland raised, East Bay. That's been my life. So 2018, we moved to Austin, Texas, and I took a drop in pay, took a drop in grade to make the transfer.
Okay.
Started back under the totem pole in a field office, and I was there for 2 years, and it got to the point where even as COVID was hitting, it was clear to me. And at this time, I was already being trained as a coach, trainer, and speaker with the Maxwell team. Okay. And it was really clear. My wife was saying the same thing. Yeah, I think there's really no ceiling to break through anymore here. So I went and launched out into the deep. Left my job after I got that 10 years, that golden 10 years, I get pension, and then started my business, and haven't looked back since. I burned those boats.
Yeah, you burn the ships, man. Burn the ships. Yes, so you started your business. Tell us more about. Let's go a little deeper in terms of the work you do as a coach. So obviously you got connected with the John Maxwell team. Shout out to everybody who's listening that's affiliated with the John Maxwell team. And you launched your business. So what's the name of your company?
It is Greg Brinkley Enterprises.
Okay, so Greg Brinkley Enterprises, and you provide coaching. And so let's go a little bit deeper in terms of your target client and the work that you do with them.
Sure. I primarily serve Black government professionals. The reason why is because after having done 27 years in government, I've come across a lot of our own people in government, and it was very clear to me that we were not being served in the same ways as others. We were very much undervalued, in some cases marginalized, or misunderstood, because the life of a government worker is such that you do your job, you go home, and a lot of people are satisfied with that. But there are others who want to progress, want to promote, want to gain some more opportunities for leadership, performance, sharpening, whatever the case may be. But there are not always those opportunities to gain that from a mentorship perspective or even from a leadership perspective, because there are a lot of supervisors or execs who are not as driven to help us as there are some others. Right. So that's why I decided, with the experience that I've gained and the unique position that I was in throughout my journey in government, I felt that I was uniquely positioned to do that. And on top of that, my take is this: there needs to be people kind of fighting for us, and that's not really going to happen on the inside. You may find it every now and then, but I've been doing that. I've been doing this within government, and I want to do it outside of government. And there's no one in the space doing this.
Right. Yeah, that makes so much sense. And so what you're saying essentially is that you've identified an area that's possibly underserved, and because of your background and experience, you'll be able to leverage that to be able to impact people that's in that space as well. Is that correct?
Absolutely. There is a huge need for this, and the more I come across this outside of government, mm-hmm. the more pronounced the need is from my angle to develop products and services that really cater to them, mm-hmm. and not necessarily from a general perspective.
Well, speaking of products and services, tell us a little bit about your book. Tell us the name of your book and what's the purpose? Like what prompted you to even get started on this route of becoming an author?
Okay, well, it's interesting you bring that up, because I have been wanting to write a book for decades. And I actually had a manuscript that I had been working on a few years back, and that process just stalled. Right. So when I started moving into entrepreneurship, I started reflecting on my career, especially after I was able to define my target market audience. Okay. So once it became clear to me that this was the group I wanted to serve, I started reflecting on my career, and it really became more of a level of passion that drove the book, because there's a chapter in the book is entitled Un-Civilized: How Government Workers Behave and What to Do to Help Them. Got it. Okay, good. And Un-Civilized. Okay. Yeah. So the issues that I'm really addressing are dealing with the behavior profiles that we see in government. Mm-hmm. Government workers see this, government leaders have to deal with it, and the public has to contend with it when they do service with the government. And I want to just shine a light on what these behavior profiles are, where it comes from, mm-hmm. and then figure out, and not just figure out, but also help navigate, for those who are inside government, a process where that can actually transform. Yeah. So really was the birth of my own experiences. What I've seen is actually a chapter in the book called "Dealing with the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly." Mm-hmm. so I dealt with all three, and it really speaks to a lot of what we all know and see from government workers, but also want to humanize them as well, so people can see that these are people, they have their own just challenges and issues just like we do. Yeah. And unfortunately, they bring these unhealthy behaviors to the office. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So as you were getting started with the process of becoming an author, how did you end up finding Self-Published in 30 Days, and what was your self-publishing process like? What was your experience like? Well, I actually crossed paths with another person who was published by Self-Published in 30 Days. And when I found out he had written a book, I said, oh, wait, and I was already looking for some publishing companies to work with. Right. And I saw that it was a no-brainer. So I made contact with Darren. Actually, I wasn't supposed to talk to them. I was supposed to speak to someone else on the team, and he ended up calling me, and we had it was really a spiritual experience. I love it. That we had in that conversation, to where he was willing to work with me in getting the book out. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, Darren Palmer. For those of you who don't know, you may be listening to it for the very first time. Darren Palmer is our Chief Book Officer,
and visionary for Self-Published in 30 Days, 10-time author, and has catapulted Self-Published in 30 Days to be the #1 self-publishing company in the world, having helped over 500 authors to become self-published. So I think that's great. And Greg Brinkley is one of them. He's here on the Self-Published in 30 Days podcast. So you went through the process. What did you learn as a result of going through this self-published process? Because there's so many people that have a desire, and they may be in government, they may be listening to this podcast or watching us on our YouTube channel. What could you say to those people that you learned that help you to finish this process and this project?
I think one of the things that I learned was, for those who are God-fearing, like the two of us are, God has a way of making the unseen seen.
Right.
And when that idea is planted within us to come up with a book idea and to maybe start writing the manuscript, that's not really our own genesis. It really is something that's coming through supernatural means.
Right.
So God plants that idea in our head. He has that dream for us. He has that purpose for us to bring that thought, that experience, that breakthrough into the world, that knowledge. He wants us to share with the world so the world can actually gain value that they were not experiencing before.
Yeah.
So it's really a matter of our own self-limiting beliefs that keep us from being able to get into that space of saying, this is actually going to become a reality.
Yeah. And
he has a way of bringing the right pieces in place, because I had no idea that the person that I get connected with had written the book until later. Right. And then find out that was a self-publishing company.
Yeah.
And it was really an orchestration of God's providence. That's how I see the process.
Yeah.
So I think for those who are looking for that opportunity, you don't really necessarily have to look for it. It's a matter of being able to trust the fact that God placed that within you to bring that out, and He will direct your paths to the people, to the resources, to the experiences that will allow you to bring it into fruition.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And you know, that's a definite challenge for a lot of folks, that they overthink the process. They don't believe that they are supposed to be an author. So there's those self-limiting beliefs that you mentioned. Obviously, that's one of your challenges. What would you say, what did you experience any other challenges as you were going through this process, things that you had to, overcome within yourself outside of the self-limiting beliefs?
How much time you got? Well, I'll say this. Moving to Austin was a very huge challenge for me, having lived my entire life in the Bay Area and never living outside of that region. So I've been telling people for the past 3 years, I've been going through my evolution and revelation journey. And I've been evolving. There are some areas of my life that really needed a lot of work. There were some things that I was not proud to talk about, not proud to have experienced, but I know that it was something that that needed to happen in order for a better version of myself to emerge.
Yeah.
And then God's also revealing things to me during these 3 years. I had in the past 3 years, well, the first 2 years being here, I lost 40 people in my life, 40. And this is before COVID.
So you mean 40, as in 40, as in 39 plus 1?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So it was a major uphill battle. But I had to realize that, and this is something that my trainer and entrepreneur and mentor always says. He says, "You are the creator of your own outcomes."
Say that one more time.
You are the creator of your own outcomes. That we have to bear responsibility. We can't blame anyone. When life throws us curves, we can't blame the pitcher. So we have to be able to say, okay, I play a role in where I am.
Right.
There's no one I can really blame but me.
Mm-hmm.
I have the ability to shift the trajectory of my life,
right,
so that I can be able to see even greater abundance. Until I make that shift, I'm always going to be in a mode of blaming others and pointing fingers or looking at what I don't have.
Yeah. Greg, that is so deep. And I think a lot of times we as people are so focused on our yesterdays and tomorrows that we're not focusing on today, which impacts tomorrow, right? So, tomorrow's not happened. Yesterday is gone. Today is all we have. And so it's important that people learn that valuable lesson. So let's talk a little bit about who is this book for? I know you mentioned that it's catered to Blacks in government, but who would you recommend pick up this book? Like who would be ideal for picking your book up, or maybe even bringing you in to do some coaching with them?
Well, I wrote the book to three audiences. I wrote the book to government workers to help them understand what they bring to the table every day, and the thinking that clouds and frankly, locks them into where they are in their career. Mm-hmm. That their behavior is sometimes not really sometimes, but it is the reason why they're not seeing the growth and not seeing the success that they want.
Right.
So that's the first group. Second group is for leaders in government, to help them understand that there is hope for the ones that they are leading. The behaviors that they're seeing in their workers or in their staff are not set in stone. They can actually change, but they need to have a certain process that brings that along.
Right.
And the third group is for the general public, because it would be great for them to see the curtain being pulled back, mm-hmm. to see how these people who are in government, who have jobs just like them, have the same struggles, but also government work is not for the faint at heart.
Right.
So they need to see that there are layers to this, and it's not as simple as, well, why don't you just put the sandwich down and come help me at the desk? That's not as simple as that.
Right.
So I want to, like I said before, humanize them to the public, and also give the public hope that the people that they see can actually transform their behavior.
Right.
That it is something that can be done.
So give some examples of government workers. I mean, government, when I think about government, probably the first thing that pops in my mind is Washington, D.C., Capitol Hill, the president, that's the government. But the government is other aspects, correct?
Absolutely. Government is really, talk about levels of government. We're talking about federal government, state government, mm-hmm. city government. You have the military. There are so many different levels of government, and even Capitol Hill is the same situation. You see these behaviors in every level of government.
Right.
So let me give you an example of that. I speak of one person in what type of behavior profile in the book called the scatterist. The scatterist is the person who is a great person, wants to do a great job in their position, no real behavior issues in terms of interpersonal. Their issue is being able to keep up with the work, and they may not be as focused or as thoughtful about how they approach their work, and they're always struggling. They're always, having to work through these blockages of production or blockages of quality in work. And they may get help, but they're still unable to get over the hump and being able to be more productive and more effective in their work.
That's good. That's good. So as we begin to land the plane, Greg, there's one question that I often ask people that I interview, and it has nothing to do with the individual. It does, but it doesn't. So I want to throw this question out there, and I think you can handle it. So you've written your book, but let's say you have the itch to write another book, like a second book, right, or your next book, right? And Self-Published in 30 Days was going to pay for your trip to go anywhere in the world to write your next book. where would you go?
Oh man.
Where anywhere in the world, we taking care of the bill, where would you go?
That is a great question. I have to say back to Oakland.
Okay.
And the reason why is because, I'll put it this way. Oakland and the Bay Area made me who I am. And that has been a source of inspiration for me throughout my entire life.
Right.
I can go to certain parts of Oakland and get inspiration. I can go to 69, well, it used to be 69 Bill or the Spring Park. I can also go downtown or Lake Temescal or Lake Merritt. I can go to Jack London Square and gain inspiration. I go to West Oakland, where I used to go to school when I was young. Drive by our old house when I was, 6 or 7. I can gain inspiration from just being in the area, not just Oakland, but in other parts of the East Bay. So I gain inspiration just from being able to remember where I came from. Right. So I never forget where I came from.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. I like to ask that question because, everybody has a story and everybody has a place that they would love to go if they had the opportunity to, and it just helps them to unlock their greatness. So the fact that you have a desire to go back to Oakland is a great deal. Tell us, where can we connect with you? If someone wanted to connect with you after listening to this interview, they want to get their hands on their book, they want to bring you in to work with their team, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Well, I am on Facebook. My Facebook handle is Reach the Apex. So I'm on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram at Greg Brinkley 1. Greg with 1 G, not 2 G's, so something G-R-E-G-G, no. G-R-E-G Brinkley 1, the number 1 at Instagram. I'm also on LinkedIn, as you already know, yep. At Greg-Brinkley. And my landing page is reachtheapex.org. And that's where you can reach me in terms of my business. And I have a video course there as well. But to get the book, you can do pre-orders right now. So just go to Un-Civilizedbook.com. And that's where you can pre-order the book.
We love it. We love it. Any last words of inspiration or insight that you want to share as we land the plane?
Yeah. I'll say that one of the things I gained in the past few months was really gaining a handle on gratitude. So I would just say that it's important to remember that, for those who are, believers, you can't take faith or hope to heaven, but you can take the love that you have, and the way you show that love is being grateful to God, being grateful to others that God has placed in your life, but also being grateful to yourself, because you're dealing with the future you, a past you, and a present you. So your present you needs to be thankful for the past you, for taking you through what you've gone through, and be grateful for the future you that you're about to become.
I love it. I love it. This is Greg Brinkley, Un-Civilized. Say the title once again, Un-Civilized.
It's Un-Civilized, How Government Workers Behave and What to Do to Help Them.
Come on. And so if this information that Greg is sharing speaks to you, reach out to Greg, connect with him, let him know that you heard him on the Self-Published in 30 Days podcast so that he can be a part of your life and vice versa. And listen, we're so proud of you. The fact that you came through our family, came through our process. We're looking forward to much success on your end, Greg. We're really proud of you. For those of you who are listening, we want to encourage you that if you have a desire to become a published author, this is the year for your new book. And visit us at www.selfpublishin30days.com. Download your free ebook of This is the Year for your new book, and feel free to connect with us on all social media platforms. And I am your host, Rob YB Youngblood. You can definitely catch me on LinkedIn, where we can connect and identify ways to add value to you. But until then, be encouraged, be blessed, but most of all, continue to share your faith. And the way that you do that is by operating in your gift, because your gift will make room for you. We'll see you next time.